The hour of convening having arrived, all members of the House will please report to the floor of the House and take seats. All members will report to the floor of the House and take seats. The clerk will ring the bell. All members of the House will please report to the floor and take seats. All members. We are going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good morning. Happy to see everybody here today. Before we begin, let me ask once again that when we have our devotion and throughout the day that you keep Chairman Mandy Ballinger in your thoughts and prayers. She is has undergone some surgery and has some tests, I think, scheduled today. But nobody's a fighter like her. I also would ask you, yesterday morning when we talked about the storms in the Nashville area, there were 9 fatalities. Now we know there are 24, and a number of people, I understand, are still missing and unaccounted for. It's just a terrible, terrible tragedy in a neighboring state. We will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 174th House District, Chairman John Corbett. Chairman Corbett.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, colleagues. It's my pleasure and distinct honor to introduce our pastor today. He's got with him this morning Cornell Jones over here. We can welcome him. Thank you. While I've only known Pastor Musgrove for a short time, I've known of him and of the important work that he does. He has been doing for years. Pastor Musgrove goes around to schools and talks with local clubs, FCLA, Christian athletes, but he does a great job with our young people. And he's filled in several times for us over the last few months as we've been searching for a pastor at our church. And he's on fire for the Lord, and I'm really honored to have him with us today. And I'm going to ask him to come and give us a message.
Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Well, I want to tell you it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I would like to thank Speaker Ralston and Representative Corbett for inviting me to be here today. And I had few familiar faces in here. And we started a program back in 2001 where we go into public schools and talk to students about vision, purpose, and destiny. And then we work with Christian clubs and do programs after hours. The program's called Future Now. And we have a representative. We have a representative here. Where's he at from Valdosta? Where's Dexter? There he is. Dexter. Representative Sharper actually worked with us in an assembly in the Valdosta City Schools, 3 schools there, Newbern Middle School, Valdosta Middle, and Valdosta High School back in 2004. We've come a long ways, baby. Amen. If my friends could see me now, what would they say? I'm telling you, I barely graduated from high school. I grew up in a little town. My parents are both, my father grew up in Valdosta. My mother grew up in Valdosta. My father's from Homerville, Georgia. And I was born in Valdosta, but I was raised down in Live Oak, Florida, north central Florida, down on the Swanee River. And just was 5 out of 6 kids. There was 5 boys and 1 girl. And just was a troublemaker. I was the black sheep. My daddy said if I'd have been the first child, he'd only had 1. So that'll tell you. So my daddy was a successful businessman, built power lines for the REAs and the local, rural electrics in Georgia? EMCs, I should know that. I'm sorry. I spent a lot of times at Grady County, Mitchell County, and Slash Pine, Colquitt EMC. We did work for all those places. But one of the things that I got in high school, and I didn't want to work. I just want to have a good time, have fun. You know what I mean? So, and I got a couple scriptures I want to read that's going to kind of lead into my story, and I'm going to be quick. I'm going to leave you wanting more. I talk to schools. We don't have long when you got middle school and high school kids. They don't listen real good. So you have to talk fast, and we have big lights and LED walls and sound systems. So I didn't have to have all that today. So you need to listen. The Bible says in Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but happy is he who keepeth the law. Y'all are lawmakers, and y'all don't like lawbreakers. But happy is he who keepeth the law. And I'm telling you, I found out that drugs, alcohol, premarital sex, gangs, violence, failing grades, bullying are not problems. They're symptoms of a big problem. You ain't got a plan. Everybody needs a plan. Everybody needs a vision. In fact, I heard this black preacher say this one time. He said, if you don't know where you're going, you'll take every road. And that's what my wife says about me when I don't want to use the GPS. We don't need to ask anybody. I know where I'm going. You know what I mean? We're just going somewhere. I found out a long time ago, a lot of people are just going, they're just seeing where they're going instead of going where they're seeing, and that was me. I had a 9th grade English teacher, and she said, her name was Shirley Albritton. You know, there's a few teachers out there that really do take interest in you. And she said, son, you're a great communicator. I think I cursed her out because I was an idiot. I got voted the class clown. They didn't give 1 scholarship for that award. I went to Florida State University because I probably couldn't qualify to get in Georgia. That's just the truth. Anyway, and my SAT score didn't even qualify me to get in Florida State. I think the counselor that read my SAT scores was dyslexic, got the scores backwards. I'm being serious. I don't know how they got over 800. I made like a 600 or something. Anyway, my first semester at Florida State, and I tell this to the kids in the school, I made 3 F's and a D. It was quarter system back then. My second quarter, I made 3 F's and an F. That's 4 F's. The kids usually laugh. But I'm going to tell you something. I remembered something my high school teacher said. She said, you got a gift to communicate. And I found out the education system is there to help you determine and help you develop. You can't really be anything you want to be. I probably couldn't be a representative. But that's okay. I could probably sell cars or something like that, real estate. Right? But I'm a great preacher. But we need people that can be that. We need everybody doing their part. We got guys that work sound and lights and do certain things that I can't do. But the Bible says in Proverbs 18:16 that a man's gift will make room for him and bring him before great people. Folks, I'm telling you something. I couldn't get here on my own merits. The gift that God put in me has brought me here today. I wish my friends could see me now, because the people I went to high school with can't believe they probably allowed me to speak at the House of Representatives. But let me tell you something. We got invited. Of course, I got born again. The Bible says if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart God raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. I did that. At the age of 20, on my apartment in Tallahassee, Florida, gave my life to Jesus. But the Bible also says in John 14:6 that Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but through me. Well, I got to Jesus, and he got me to the Father. Thank God for that. And here's what the Father said in Jeremiah 29:11. And here's what we base our whole ministry on. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans or the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, to give you a peace and a future and a hope, and a not of evil, but to give you a future and a hope. That's where we got the name Future Now. Your future is now. I tell these students that what you do today is going to affect you for the rest of your life. And you need to get a plan for your life. You know, Martin Luther King said that he had a dream that all people would have a dream. You know, it wasn't just a black thing. It's a white thing. We all need to have a dream. And I'm going to tell you what's happened with the young people in America today. They quit dreaming. They've lost the ability to dream. They can't think outside the box. And I don't know whose fault that is. I talk to administrators all the time, and they tell me this. They say, we don't have student problems. We got parent problems. Because if it's coming from the house, it's in the student. Or if it's in the student, it's coming from the house. And I know I do appreciate you guys. I appreciate you men and women at what you do for this great state of Georgia, and I want to applaud you and thank you. You're graced to be here. God's got you here, and do your job. And I don't want to stay here all day and take up your time, because we got work to do. We all do. Mark Twain said this. He said, the two greatest days in a man's life, there's two great days. Obviously, the first is the day you were born. That's a great day for you. I'll be 59 on Sunday. I know I look 29. Go ahead and say it. But you know what? He said the second greatest day is the day you found out why you were born. And that's what we got to instill in these young people, to find out what it is you're supposed to be doing and get with it. Because that one day I was in a grocery store, and I ran into that teacher. I ran into Miss Albritton. I was in a Publix, and I looked her in the eye, and I said, Miss Albritton, you tried to help me, but I wouldn't listen to you. I said, but now I go into public schools, and I'm a communicator in public schools. And I'm going to tell you something. The first school I was in back in 2001 was this high school I graduated from. And some of the students actually were teaching there by that. I graduated in 79. Some of them were already teaching school. And they said, we can't believe you're letting Chris Musgrove speak in the public schools. But I'm telling you, I'm a changed man. God changed my life, and I thank God for that. And I want to pray for you today. But I want you to just think about what I said today. Without a vision, my people perish. Stand up on your feet. Thank you. This is a prayer that the Apostle Paul prayed for the church at Colossae. And I just kind of, I pray this for my family sometimes. I pray it for my children. I pray it for sometimes people that are going through things. And I just kind of put your guy's name in. I didn't put it in word for word, your names, but I put the Georgia House of Representatives. So I'm going to pray this for you. So agree with me as we pray. For this reason, since the day I heard, I do not cease to pray for you men and women of the Georgia House of Representatives. And I ask that you may be filled with the knowledge of God's will and all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that you may walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing Him, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God, strengthened with all might according to His glorious power, for all patience and long-suffering with joy, giving thanks to the Father who's qualified you to be a partaker of the inheritance of the saints in light. He has delivered you from the power of darkness, and He's transferred you into the kingdom of His dear Son, in whom you have redemption through His blood, even the forgiveness of sins. In Jesus' name, amen. That was Colossians 1, 9 through 14. In case you want to know, let's pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Mr. Speaker, the clerk of the House can verify that I have been reading the journal, and he said he would do that. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
The clerk said he was not going to get involved in that.
I can't believe that because he's a very honorable man.
He doesn't want to suborn perjury.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits read the proceedings of the previous legislative day and found them to be correct.
Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, on the 59th, moves following be established as the order of business and in the first part of the period unanimous consents. Introduction to bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1089 by Representative McCall, the 33rd, Silcox, the 52nd, Cooper, the 43rd, England, the 116th, Hawkins, the 27th, and others. The bill be titled Act to amend various titles of the Official Code of Georgia annotated so as to streamline the process of litigation.
Special Committee on Access to the Civil Justice System.
House Bill 1091 by Representative Clark of the 98th. The bill be titled Act to amend Part 2 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to competencies in core curriculum.
Education.
House Bill 1094 by Representative Gaines, the 117th, Cooper, the 43rd, Jones, the 47th, Weedower, the 119th, Silcox, the 52nd, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 20, Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding personnel administration.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 1095 by Representative Irwin, the 28th, Jones, the 47th, Jaspers, the 11th, Perkle of the 155th, Campbell of the 15th, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Part 6 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to employment under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 1096 by Representative Smyrie, the 135th, Smith, the 134th, Buckner, the 137th, Smith, the 133rd, Hughley, the 136th. Bill be titled Act to amend Code Section 48.8. 111 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to procedure for imposition of special purpose local option sales taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 1097 by Representative Smyrie, 135th, Buckner, 137th, Smith, the 133rd, Smith, the 134th, and Hughley, the 136th. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 30 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to protection of disabled and elder persons.
Human Relations and Aging.
House Resolution 1366 by Representative Chokas, the 138th. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. Wesley Frank Weaver and dedicating a mile of road in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1367 by Representative Schofield, the 60th, Cantrell of the 22nd, Gordon of the 163rd, Paris, 142nd, Howard of the 124th. A resolution urging local boards of education to ensure that each of its schools has an operational wheelchair on site at all times.
Education.
Senate Bill 307 by Senator Unterman of the 45th, Miller of the 49th, Harbin of the 16th, Gooch of the 51st, and Jones of the 25th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to programs of protection for children and youth.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 312 by Senator Jackson II, Miller of the 49th, Dugan of the 30th, Jones of the 10th. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to state government.
Governmental Affairs.
Senate Bill 346 by Senator Black of the 8th, Burke of the 11th, Anderson of the 24th, Harrell of the 40th, Payne of the 54th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 50 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to State Board of Veterinary Medicine.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
Senate Bill 367 by Senator Martin of the 9th, Strickland of the 17th, Tillery of the 19th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Brass of the 28th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 12 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the effectiveness of education programs.
Education.
Senate Bill 394 by Senator Albers of the 56th, Robertson of the 29th, Harper of the 7th, Brass of the 28th, and Martin of the 9th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 5 of Title 16, Article 1 of Chapter 15 of Title 45, and Article 7 of Chapter 4 of Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to kidnapping and false imprisonment and related offenses.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
Senate Bill 402 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, Albers of the 56th, Miller of the 49th, Hunterman of the 45th, Payne of the 54th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 6 of Title 17, Part 3 of Article 6 of Chapter 11 of Title 15, Chapter 10 of Title 16.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
Senate Bill 438 by Senator Tillery of the 19th. Bill be titled an act to amend for a non-binding advisory referendum.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
Senate Resolution 645 by Senator Mullis of the 53rd, Watson of the 1st, Burke of the 11th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Miller of the 49th, and others. A resolution urging the Georgia Building Authority to provide for certain space.
State Properties.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1084 by Representative Chokas of the 138th, Jaspers of the 11th, Watson of the 172nd, Corbett of the 174th, and England of the 116th. A bill relating to commissions and other agencies. House Bill 1085 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th, Martin of the 49th, Smyrie of the 135th, Dubnik of the 29th, Newton of the 123rd. A bill relating to definitions regarding tuition equalization grants at private colleges and universities. House Bill 1086 by Representative Setzler of the 35th, Estration of the 104th, Smyrie of the 135th, Burchett of the 176th, Bodie of the 62nd, and others. A bill relating to stay of civil forfeiture proceedings during pendency of criminal proceedings. House Bill 1087 by Representative Turner of the 21st, Caldwell of the 20th, Cantrell of the 22nd, Carson of the 46th. A bill to provide for a homestead exemption from City of Holly Springs ad valorem taxes. House Bill 1088 by Representative Jones of the 167th, a bill to amend an act creating a new charter for the City of Ludowici. House Bill 1090 by Representative Silcox of the 52nd, Jones of the 47th, Cooper of the 43rd, Hatchett of the 150th, Dempsey of the 13th, a bill relating to general provisions regarding labor and industrial relations. House Bill 1092 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, Nix of the 69th, Williams of the 145th, Collins of the 68th, a bill relating to delegation of certain medical acts to advanced practice registered nurse. House Bill 1093 by Representative Meeks of the 178th, McCall of the 33rd, Perkle of the 155th, Ridley of the 6th, Watson of the 172nd, a bill relating to agriculture commodity commissions generally. House Resolution 1350 by Representative Jones of the 91st and McCall of the 33rd, a resolution urging the President of the United States and Congress to enact legislation requiring the Food and Drug Administration to establish GMP standards for regulating industrial hemp products with THC content below 0.3%, including establishing a safe daily level of cannabidiol consumption by consumers. Senate Bill 271 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th, Council of the 46th, Stone of the 23rd, Burke of the 11th, Jones of the 25th, a bill relating to courts. Senate Bill 301 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, Hill of the 4th, Robertson of the 29th, Mullis of the 53rd, and Miller of the 49th, a bill relating to general provisions regarding detainers. Senate Bill 351 by Senator Watson of the 1st, Albers of the 56th, Jackson of the 2nd, Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, Miller of the 49th, and others, a bill to provide for the holding of a non-binding advisory referendum. Senate Bill 373 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th, Stone of the 23rd, Jones of the 10th, Gooch of the 51st, Cowsert of the 46th, and others, a bill relating to directors and officers of nonprofit corporations and directors and officers of electric membership corporations and foreign electric cooperatives. Senate Bill 374 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th, Miller of the 49th, Duggan of the 30th, Gooch of the 51st, Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, and others. A bill relating to provisional and final remedies and special proceedings. Senate Bill 393 by Senator Strickland of the 17th, Tillery of the 19th, Alberts of the 56th, Martin of the 9th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd. A bill relating to the university system and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Senate Bill 396 by Senator Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, Wilkinson of the 50th, Black of the 8th, Anderson of the 24th, Hill of the 4th, and others. A bill relating to state symbols. Senate Bill 435 by Senator Strickland of the 17th, Tillery of the 19th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Alberts of the 56th, Parent of the 42nd, and others. A bill relating to procedure for sentencing and imposition of punishment and the Georgia Crime Information Center. Through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Stevens, the 164th District, Chairman of the Committee on Economic Development and Tourism, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Economic Development and Tourism has had in consideration the following bill of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 244 to pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Stevens of the 164th District, Chairman. Representative Lumsden of the 12th District, Chairman of the Committee on Insurance, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Insurance has had in consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1050 do pass. House Bill 1070 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Lumsden of the 12th District, Chairman. Representative Barry Fleming of the 121st District, Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary has held in consideration the following bills of the House. This has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 814 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 865 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Barry Fleming of the 121st District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Okay, we're going on now to morning orders. We're going on now to morning orders. Chair will ask all members that are within the chamber to please be seated and cease conversation. Take your meetings out to the anterooms or the hallways, or you can go out and stand in the rain as a final option. So we will limit morning orders today to 1 minute each. Chair recognizes Representative Burnow for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For my moment in Black history, I have chosen Gwen Ifill, who was regarded as one of the most respected reporters of all time and someone who pushed the bar forward for women of color in journalism. She was a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. In February, trailblazing reporter and anchor who died in 2016 was honored as the face of the U.S. Postal Service's 43rd Black Heritage Forever stamp. Gwen Ifill was one of the most recognizable faces in TV news. The former PBS anchor started as a reporter in a predominantly white male journalism industry. Within years of her start in local news, she was covering presidential campaigns for the biggest media organizations in the country. She was the host of Washington Week, and in 2013 became a part of the first all-female daily news anchor team at NewsHour. She moderated presidential and vice presidential debates in 2004 and in 2008, notably stumping, thank you. This is my moment in Black history.
Chair recognizes Representative Chokas for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is indeed my pleasure to recognize the leadership and the competitive teams from the FFA in Marion County. They're up there in the gallery. They're accompanied by their instructor, John Hagan. Please stand up and let us applaud your successes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Oh, one last thing. Go Eagles. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Dale Washburn for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, it is indeed an honor for me today to recognize a very special group that's at the Capitol today, and that is the Georgia Association of Realtors. They are here every year, but this year is very significant because it is the 100th birthday of the Georgia Association of Realtors. And so I am particularly honored to welcome them today because for 44 years, I have been one of them. And they are here always to advocate, of course, for their business interests, but also for private property rights, which is very important to all of us and to everyone in the state of Georgia. So please, the Realtors in the gallery, please stand, and ladies and gentlemen of the House, please honor them with your applause. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Washburn, and the chair wants to make special mention of the Northeast Georgia Board of Realtors that are here from Gilmer, Fannin, Union, and Towns counties. If y'all would stand. Thank y'all for being here. Chair recognizes Chairman Werkheiser for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's actually two groups here. This is Georgia Homeschool Day at the Capitol, and specifically I've got a group that got on the bus this morning at 5 o'clock this morning, the Christian Homeschool Educators Association, most from Tatton-on-Evans. Most of my constituents are out there paging, but thank you for coming, and a few of those are in the gallery here and in the Senate. If y'all could stand and be recognized. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Jasmine Clark for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. So if you live or work in Atlanta, then you've probably used your phone or car's GPS to navigate to your destination or around our god-awful traffic. Whether you use Google Maps or Waze, you can thank the brilliant mind of Dr. Gladys West, an African-American woman and mathematician who worked at the Naval Surface Warfare Center in Dahlgreen, Virginia. Her work creating mathematical models of the shape of the Earth is the basis of Global Positioning System, or GPS. She was recently inducted into the U.S. Air Force Hall of Fame for her important contribution to society. And today, we recognize this amazing woman in STEM. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative McLaurin for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to recognize the adoptive child of the day. Introducing Alexis. 15-year-old Alexis is initially a shy, quiet girl whose beautiful personality comes through the more you get to know her. She enjoys spending time with her friends, swimming, singing, drawing, dancing, and listening to pop, rap, and contemporary gospel music. Alexis is looking for her forever home so she can continue to grow, thrive, and achieve her goals. She's one of the thousands of children in Georgia who need permanent, forever homes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Heath Clark and Chairman Shaw Blackman for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I'm here today to recognize a group of young ladies that are from Houston County with New Vision MSK. If you would stand and let us recognize you in the gallery, if you would stand. They are here today to advocate for issues that are of interest to them, and so thank y'all for coming, and we'll see you later.
Chair recognizes Representative Frazier for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To my colleagues in the House, what is motherhood? Motherhood is one of the most difficult jobs there is. It marks a new chapter in every woman's story. It gives you a sense of purpose and a meaning in life. You encounter a love and passion for your children that you have never experienced before. Motherhood is emotional. Being a mother of 2 daughters, I know firsthand the combinations of raw emotions, experiences, hopes, and dreams that I have for my girls. There is no definition for motherhood. Motherhood, simply put, is amazing. So why does Georgia have one of the highest rates of maternal and infant mortality in the nation? Women are at risk for pregnancy-related mortality the first year after delivering their baby. 65% of Georgia's pregnancy-related deaths occur between 6 weeks to 1 year postpartum, could have been preventable, according to the Georgia Maternal Mortality Review Committee. Let's reduce these numbers. Let's support the extension of pregnancy Medicaid for women up to 1 year postpartum. Let's save the lives of our mothers so that they can experience motherhood. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representatives Stovall, Alexander, and Glanton for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. We would like to acknowledge and recognize Awesome Girls Day here at the Capitol and Regina Sunshine Robertson on their 5th anniversary program, which has elevated 31 girls for their individual talents, gifts, and abilities. They are authors, inventors, community activists, entrepreneurs, community servants, musicians, and other notable professions. Members, will you please help us to welcome the awesome girls to the state capitol? Will you please rise? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Time is almost up, but the chair recognizes, and I'm going to dispense with the time in a spirit of brotherhood and moving Georgia forward. Representative Al Williams for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 2 groups here today, the Liberty County Hinesville Board of Realtors under Lavonia Mayfield, and I'm not sure if they're up there, and the Youth Commission from Liberty County. And of course, my Board of Realtors are second only to that Gilmer County, North Georgia group, but we're number 2. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Time is up for today's morning orders, and I think there was one or two we didn't get to. And if you'll see the messenger, we will give you priority tomorrow. Chair wants to recognize on the floor of the House a former member of this body, former chairman of the Rules Committee, former State Representative Bill Hembry. Okay. What have we got here? Chair recognizes Representative Shannon to introduce the Doctor of the Day. Good morning, Renita. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dr. Jeffrey Linzer attended medical school at the California College of Medicine at the University of California at Irvine, where he also completed his residency in pediatrics. Dr. Linzer is an attending physician at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and a professor of pediatrics and emergency medicine at Emory University. And we thank him for being our Doctor of the Day.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker, members of this august body, I want to thank you very much for the service that you're providing to the people of our great state of Georgia. I know that representative government is hard and that compromise is the key to success. I think it was best summed up by Edmund Burke, who said, "Your representative owes you not his industry only, but his judgment, and he betrays instead of serving you if he sacrifices to your opinion." At Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, we're very busy in the emergency centers, seeing almost 200,000 children a year. Unfortunately, many of these visits are due to the lack of primary care and mental health resources. Mental health is becoming a greater issue for our children in our state, and I unfortunately have had to take care of children as young as 6 years of age who've tried to commit suicide. The lack of resources limits the availability of placement, and sometimes these children are waiting in the emergency department for days. The lack of adequate primary care resources can be traced, unfortunately, in part to Georgia Medicaid, because over 50% of the Medicaid recipients are children, but less than 20% of the Medicaid dollars go to their care. It seems at times we value our grandparents more than our children, since Medicare reimbursement in many instances is higher than Georgia Medicaid. I know you all want to do what is best for our children, and I hope you continue to look out for this very fragile group. Again, I want to thank you all for your service to our great state. Good morning and thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
Good comments. This House will be at order. House will come to order. We have some very distinguished Georgians that we are going to honor whenever y'all are ready to honor them. Chair recognizes, or I'm sorry, Mr. Clerk, read the caption to House Resolution 1032.
House Resolution 1032 by Representative Estration of the 104th, a resolution commending the Decula High School Lady Falcons soccer team for winning the 2019 6A State Championship and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Chairman F. Stration for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, it's a great honor today to have with us the Decula High School Lady Falcons 6A State Championship soccer team. We have outstanding students and coaches with us here today, including the members of the team who are in the gallery. If you would please rise, and members of the House, if we could please congratulate them. The team is led by Coach Colleen Foy, who will say just a few words for us.
Good morning, I'm Colleen Foy, and I'm the head coach of the varsity girls soccer team from Decula High School in Gwinnett County. This team brought the school its second ever women's state championship, and it's the first one since 1954, and it's also the first state championship overall since 1993. So we're very proud to represent our school, and thank you for the invitation.
All right.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 1272.
House Resolution 1272 by Representative Dempsey, the 13th, Carpenter the 4th, Cooper the 43rd, Jaspers the 11th, Gamble the 15th, and others. A resolution recognizing March 4th, 2020 as Georgia Hope Day at the state capitol and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Chairman Dempsey for an invite resolution.
Good morning. It is our honor today to recognize March the 4th today as Georgia Hope Day at our state capitol. We have some wonderful guests here with us. Georgia Hope is a provider of mental health, substance use, and family preservation services, and they have been doing it for 20 years. They have been categorized as a Tier 2+ provider of our most important core services and family preservation services, providing an array of services that help clients maintain stability in a community environment. It's keeping people in their own homes and in their own schools. They embrace the 3 pillars of valuing community-based services, committing to integrated health care, and believing recovery is possible for the adults, children, and adolescents that they served. As we all know, it has been recognized that school-based mental health programs are so very important, and in 2015, they began 2, and today, they are active in 60 across the region where they serve. Georgia Hope has transformed the lives of thousands of individuals and their families in 29 counties in North Georgia, but also extending those services, because when you do something well, you're asked to do it more. So they extend that into Savannah, Columbus, and Augusta. They are helping many of the people that we represent. We're joined above by some of those who work with them. If y'all would please stand up and let us recognize you as well. The boots on the ground of Georgia Hope. Thank you so much, and I'm joined up here with the speaker, with Mary Wise, Tanya Smith, and Nikki Raymond, who will say a few words.
Thank you so much, Representative Dempsey, and to all the representatives that have supported this work in the last 20 years. We are honored that we have been able to walk the path of recovery with tens of thousands of families in the state of Georgia in the past 20 years, and we are honored to continue to do that work, and we look forward to the next 100 years planting those mustard seeds that will bring hope and better living for the individuals in Georgia. Thank you.
We are now going on to the rules calendar. Going on to the rules calendar. Chair will ask that members again who are inside the chamber remain seated and cease conversation and listen to the presentations from the well. The clerk will read the caption to House Bill 882.
House Bill 882 by Representative Ralston and the 170th and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 48, the official code of Georgia annotated, relating the general provisions regarding the state sales and use tax so as to eliminate the sunset period for the exemption from state and certain local sales and use taxes. This bill then referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
The chair recognizes Chairman Penny Houston to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 882 permanently removes the sales and use tax from food and food ingredients to qualified health banks. And it also removes the sales and use tax for donations of food and food ingredients to qualified health banks that use the food to feed the hungry and for disaster relief purposes. If I have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. If not, I would appreciate a yes vote so we can help make life better for so many Georgians.
You have a question if you care to yield.
I will yield for a question.
Chair recognizes Representative Kennard to your left for a question.
Yes.
Good morning. Does the representative yield?
Yes, I will.
Isn't it true that 16.2% of all Georgians struggle with food insecurity and that 23% of all children in Georgia live in a food insecure home?
If you say so, I'm sure that's correct.
Okay. Thank you for the bill.
Thank you. If I have no further questions, I yield the well.
No more questions. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage, of House Bill 882. The ayes are 159, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 946.
House Bill 946 by Representative Knight of the 130th to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 64, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to regulation and licensure of pharmacy benefit managers. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Quality Health Care. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
The chair recognizes Chairman David Knight to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You'll give us a second for the slide to overhead to come down. First, I want to thank every member of the General Assembly. Over the years, this General Assembly has been concerned about the health care issues that face Georgia constituents. Last year, this House took the lead with first in the nation kind anti-steering regarding pharmacy benefit managers. And I want to thank you for what you did. Georgia leads, and it will continue to lead as we address the medical crisis that we have, not only in Georgia, but I think to help shape what goes on in the nation. I also want to thank members that have worked tirelessly on the health care bills. Chairman Richard Smith, Chairman Lee Hawkins, Chairman Matt Hatchett, and a whole host of others. We continue to address Georgia's needs. I don't know if the slide's on. As they put a slide or two on, I want to let you know what's going on. And we had several hearings, particularly at the first of the year, and I told you that there were several discussions going on around the nation. But one of the most important discussions, and I think we need to have, is looking and addressing the corporate takeover of healthcare. Our healthcare decisions are coming down from the largest publicly traded companies in the nation, and our healthcare dollars are going right back up to these publicly traded companies. As you see in the slide, this was this was done in 19, but as you look and you see these companies, you'll see that they are the largest, number 6, number 8, 23, 51, 56, 65, 155. These are some of the largest Fortune 500 companies in the nation. They're publicly traded. And they are controlling healthcare. How? It's called vertical integration. And if there's one thing I wanted you to take note of, is how this is happening. These insurance carriers and also managed care organizations own the insurer, they own the PBM, they own the specialty pharmacy, and this slide doesn't even show it, they own the other mail order pharmacies, and they even own brick and mortar pharmacies. And that's the vertical integration that is happening in the United States. So there's a natural conflict of interest that is going on with these companies. And we wonder why our costs keep going up. But if you look at the massive shareholder returns from these companies, you'll know where the money's going. Back to steering. This body with the exception of one person in the Senate and the governor, signed off on again, a nation first anti-steering bill. But as you see, come January 1 of 20, these big corporations, they're finding a way to get around these. This is an example of what it looks like when these big companies say, look, you can use another pharmacy. We're just not going to pay anything for the prescription drug. In fact, they're telling the beneficiary here, you'll pay 100% of the cost. You want to know what it looks like from cross-referencing? They're actually also contracting from a cross-contractual difference, and they're contracting from one to the other. CVS and Optum. Optum is Anthem. You know who CVS Caremark is. You want to know what it looks like in a contract? This is a state contract. They even have steering language in a state contract. PBM acknowledges and agrees that a GenioRx may steer members to any pharmacy or pharmacies of IngenioRx's choice through any means, preferred pharmacies over non-preferred pharmacies, specialty pharmacies for specialty drug fills over retail. IngenioRx, know who they are? Anthem. You want to know what it looks like to the people and our constituents that we serve? Let me tell you a story about a young lady from southeast Georgia. She was a first-time mom. She had a newborn baby, and she was receiving Medicaid managed care via AmeriGroup, which is Anthem. The child was born at 36 weeks gestation and spent 5 months in the NICU. They were discharged, but the baby was sent home with a prescription for a drug for pulmonary hypertension. When she went to her local pharmacy, this is what she ran into. The pharmacy tried to fill the prescription, and it was rejected. And it said, you must fill this at the specialty pharmacy. And when you call that number, guess who you get? IngenioRx. So the managed care organizations were steering Georgia Medicaid patients to their own pharmacies. Guess what? The mother was given a runaround for 2 weeks trying to get the medicine for her child. And she finally had to switch Medicaid plans. How much jeopardy was her child's health put into? I'm going to briefly go through the bill. Basically, 946 addresses these heinous practices from these PBMs. Section 1, we've got current definitions are antiquated as these PBMs, their practices have evolved, and we need new definitions that match current day practices of these PBMs. Section 2, we're giving the commissioner and making sure that he has the ability to make sure that their fines and more aggressive action is taken under the law. Right now, there is no stick, if you will, when these large companies break Georgia law. Section 3 looks to protect patients by ensuring that physicians from Georgia are utilized somewhere in the development or the management of the formularies that the PBMs come up with. Section 4, again, going back to the commissioner, taking away some antiquated language that handcuffs him from proper oversight of these companies. looking to increase his authority and his obligation in regards to the oversight of PBMs. Section 5 really strikes at the core of this bill. And what it does is it brings transparency to drug pricing in Georgia. And because of these trade secrets and the way that they come up with proprietary and confidential formulas, nobody understands what the cost of a drug is. What this bill seeks to do is it seeks to make sure that they are also reporting these drugs based on NADAC. NADAC is the National Average Drug Acquisition Cost. The Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, our federal government, does this survey. And all we're doing is asking for them, as they're doing their drugs under MAC pricing, they're also going to report whether it's 10% below or above NADAC. NADAC, for the first time, is the most public and the most reliable benchmark for the true cost of drugs. Again, transparency and sunshine. It disinfects. Section 6 addresses a couple of things. It says that if you're going to do rebates and you're going to say you're going to give all the rebates back, we're telling you all the rebates. It also addresses spread pricing. Thanks to Chairman England and Chairman Jack Hill in the Senate 2 years ago, we put language in the budget where we knew this was going on. 2018, you know how much spread pricing was? $50 million. You know what spread pricing is? It's where they're charging the plans more than what they actually pay out to the pharmacies for the cost of the drugs. $50 million in 2018, $43 million in 2019. I wonder what this General Assembly in this state could do with $93 million as it tries to address other issues of health care, education, infrastructure. We are now saying no more spread pricing. The other thing that this addresses, and many of you were in testimony, you know what a copay accumulator is? It's where some of our most chronically ill patients with the most expensive drugs are getting help through coupons or other means. And that payment is being accepted by the PBM, but guess what? They're not applying it to their copay or their deductible. They're taking the money, but they're leaving the patient in a position where they don't accept it applied against their copay, their deductible, or their coinsurance. So the patient is still on the hook. One of the worst practices, Chairman Cooper, thank you for bringing this up in committee. It is one of the worst practices that I've seen. And again, Section 7, we're looking at, again, improving patient protection. We're seeing these PBMs, and they're driving through the formularies people to brand drugs that cost more when there are cheaper generics available. And they're doing this because they have a financial incentive through the rebates and other revenue that's coming back to them. And it's driving up the cost of drugs, and it's preventing people from getting on those drugs because of the high cost. It also addresses lemon dropping, where these formularies will drop certain medications and forcing the patient to go find a different plan. And again, despite what this General Assembly has done, the PBMs continue on the largest of scales to engage in prohibited practices, including steering. You will see a first-in-the-nation surcharge provision in here, were the claims for PBMs and their insurance clients when the PBMs engage in this practice. We will not take this in Georgia anymore. It is not good health care policy, it is not good for the patients, and it's not good for the providers. We want to take health care back in Georgia, and we will. That was our mission this year. I hope that you will stand by me and your other colleagues and a lot of other people who testified. The Georgia Hospital Association, we had the MS Society, we had many advocacy groups, okay? National MS Society. We had, again, hospital associations, MAG. Our physicians stood up. We've had Dean Gene Sumners from Mercer. I cannot think of a more eloquent educator and physician who addressed this issue. Please stand up with me against these heinous, heinous practices by these large companies. Let's take health care back in Georgia, and let's make sure that health care is between the health provider, the physician, the pharmacist, and the patient. And let's tell insurance and their PBMs they need to stay in their lanes. Mr. Speaker, I'll yield for any questions.
You have a question if you care to yield.
I'll yield for some, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Jasmine Clark to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
First, thank you for bringing this bill. I do believe that this is an important issue that affects a lot of our constituents. I just had one question. In Section 2, line 128 through 130, I noticed that the filing fees and renewal fees were increased by 400% and 250% respectively. Is the purpose of this change to discourage PBMs from applying for or renewing licenses in Georgia by increasing the fee?
I'll answer that question also with a reference back to a slide. I doubt that companies that are making upwards of $200 and something billion a year in revenue are discouraged from a $1,000 or a $2,000 fee. It's to make sure we're getting up, these haven't been changed, and it's to make sure that the insurance commissioner has proper oversight, and these are just getting these up to today's standards.
So the gentleman for the yield?
Yes.
So to clarify, you're just saying that we increase the fees in order to help the commissioner do their job, and it's not to discourage PBMs?
Yes. Well, I'm not sure you could discourage with that much money that they're making on this.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, if there are no more questions, I would...
It's up to you. You've got a couple of more.
I'll answer one more, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Mary Frances Williams to your right for a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it not true that I myself have been prescribed a $3,000 a month prescription that is fulfilled by a specialty pharmacy, and that although that company offers assistance to help me pay for that, that money does not count towards my deductible?
I believe the lady to know of which she speaks, and she would be speaking of one of the most heinous practices I've seen, which is the copay accumulator clauses that these PBMs put into the contracts.
Thank you so much for bringing this legislation. It's going to help so many people.
Thank you. Thank you, members, and I hope that you will stand up and make sure that we in Georgia take health care back and put it where it belongs, between those licensed providers, physicians, pharmacists, and the patient. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on House Bill 946? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 946 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. For what purpose does Chairman Parrish rise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to be excused under Rule 133 of voting on this matter, as much as I would like to vote for it, please.
Gentleman has that right, and the Journal of the House will reflect that. Members favoring the bill are voting aye. Those opposed are voting no. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 946. The ayes are 165. The nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 947.
House Bill 947 by Representative Knight of the 130th and others, to be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 4, Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to Medicaid generally, so as to require the Department of Community Health to engage an actuary to conduct an actuarial study of the fiscal impact of carving out pharmacy benefits from the state's current Medicaid care management organizations. This bill then referred to the Committee on Quality Health Care. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Knight to present the bill.
Mr. Speaker, I'll be briefer with this one. It is a shorter bill. Many of you read the preamble to this bill, so I'll let you read it and see the findings of the information that we've seen and the data that we've gathered. But this bill basically does two things. It instructs DCH to go out and get an independent third-party actuarial study to determine and come back and show if there's savings from a carve-out of prescription drug benefits from managed Medicaid. And if that study comes back, then they're instructed to proceed. If the savings are $20 million or more, they're instructed to proceed. And if the savings are $10 to $20 million, then we instruct them to consider it and weigh in very heavily and put more of the option back into their court. I will let you know that other states, such as Kentucky, which is a much smaller state than us, did a carve-out of prescription drug benefits from managed care, and that state saved $50 million. $50 million. I'm sorry, West Virginia. West Virginia. So that's all this bill does. It's very simple. We just want third-party verifiable information so that we can know to proceed or not to proceed. And again, I'll ask for your favorable consideration. House Bill 947. Mr. Speaker, are there any questions?
Do you yield for questions?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Jasmine Clark to your left for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, I do.
Can you, just for me, I don't really necessarily understand the lingo. Can you define what carve out means for us? I think I'm not the only one with that question.
Under Medicaid, there's two types. There's fee for service, and there's managed care. And the state and managed care contracts with these managed care organizations, okay, such as Centene, which has like Peach State, or Anthem, which has Amerigroup, or was it Peach Care, okay? We pay them on a per member per month basis, and they control everything, everything. And what I'm saying is that as we've discovered the spread pricing, high administrative fees, high markups that you've seen on these specialty drugs, they're killing access to other pharmacies in the state, especially in rural Georgia. But I'll tell you, I met one gentleman, Thomas Jesu, has 2 pharmacies within 10 minutes of this capital, serving some of the most needy patients in Georgia. He just closed one of his pharmacies, and he's hanging on by a thread. And what this does is seek to put this back into a fee-for-service position if the study actually shows savings.
Does the gentleman further yield?
Yes, I do.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. So we are, actually, I'm just going to ask again. Can you explain this to me like I'm a 5th grader? What are you saying when you say that we are carving out pharmacy benefits from the state's Medicaid care management?
It's managed care Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we go out to some of these companies that we just show you that had subsidiaries in which we just farm out the contract, and they manage it from start to finish. And what we're finding is exactly what you just saw up there and those examples. And what we're saying is there are studies that show that this is a more costly method when it comes to prescription drug benefits. And we want third-party data that shows if there's a savings, we want to proceed and change that. We want lower costs to the state, and we want more access and more health care to the individuals that you and I care about.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker,
You have no further questions.
thank you, and I, again, appreciate your support for House Bill 947.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 947 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Chairman Parrish rise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask under Rule 133 to be excused from this vote, please.
Gentleman has that right, and the journal will so reflect. Members voting for the bill are voting aye. Those opposed to the bill are voting no. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of House Bill 947, the ayes are 168, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. The clerk will read the caption to House Bill 918.
House Bill 918 by Representative Cooper, the 43rd night of the 130th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Article 6 of Chapter 4 of Title 26 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to pharmacies, so as to revise various provisions relating to the practice of pharmacy. This bill having referred to the committee on Special Committee on Quality Health Care, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Cooper to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring to you the substitute to House Bill 918. It is the third and for today the final bill about PBMs. This bill is sort of in two parts. The first part is about the steering. And last year, we passed a bill, the first in the nation, to put a stop to this. And our bill is being used as a model bill all over the country to try to stop the steering. But CVS, which brought this to our attention last year, who bought Anthem, sent out letters to their people and said, if you were an Anthem patient, you could only fill your medicines at a CVS pharmacy, and you had to use their mail order if they so specified. This was especially troubling for cancer patients because there was a wait. And Representative Knight spoke of a mother that they're back to doing it again, and spoke of the mother with a newborn with hypertension of the lungs. I know a lot about hypertension of the lungs. My younger sister died during my first campaign of hypertension of the lungs. No known cause, no known cure. We are lucky now to have some medicines that at least elongate a person's life if they have this condition. And to deny an infant the medication they need for 2 or 3 weeks while you wait for it to be sent mail order is criminal. So the first part of the bill goes back and makes our even stronger what we passed last year. And the way they got around it is they said, oh, right, you don't have to buy your medicines from us, but if you go somewhere else away from CVS, you just have to pay the price for it, and 100% of the price. So that's taking care of the first part of the bill. The second part of the bill is about pharmacies and their audits. And I really didn't think that I would be dealing with something like this. I had to have somebody explain to me just how a pharmacy was audited. And they're audited by all the different PBMs. So they may be getting audited once every 2 months. And this is not just a quick run through the pharmacies. This is something that a pharmacist will spend hours and hours and hours preparing for, and it can take 3 or 4 days. But I have decided, after learning what goes on, to call it the nitpicking audit, because it's a way for PBMs, it's another source where they are recapturing hundreds of thousands of dollars from our pharmacists around this state. And it's not because there's fraud, or the pharmacists are lining their own pockets with money that shouldn't belong to them, or they're ordering the wrong drugs, and they're not ordering them, they're giving out the wrong drugs. It's because of nitpicking mistakes. Yesterday, I learned from a practicing pharmacist that's just been appointed to our Board of Pharmacy that he just finished an audit, and a doctor typed in the date and the year correctly on a prescription. When that was located in the audit, that prescription was denied, not to the patient, but to the pharmacist, which meant the pharmacist had to pay back to the PBM the money that prescription cost, because the date was typed in, not handwritten. They are nitpicking our pharmacists to death, and they are getting back in the money in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, because any time they deny that the pharmacist did something wrong in filling a prescription, the pharmacist has to pay them back. And there's a big dark secret. When they ask the pharmacist to pull out a prescription that they want to look at, they know the ones where the drugs were most costly. They don't pick on one, and they don't pull out one to look at where the medicine cost $4. They ask to see the ones where the medicine was $400. And so when they deny it, that's $400 in their pocket. That is the essence of this bill. We have to put a stop to corporations trying to run medicine. They're going to put our pharmacists out of business. And in other ways, they're also after our doctors. So I would ask for your favorable consideration on the substitute to House Bill 918. And Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I will yield the well.
You have no questions. Thank you. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 918 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Chairman Parrish arise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to be excused from voting on this bill under Rule 133, please.
Gentleman has that right, and the journal will so reflect that he has exercised that right. Those in favor of the bill are voting aye. Those opposed are voting no. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 918. The ayes are 169. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 897. House will be in order.
House Bill 897 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and others to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 12-6-24, the official code of Georgia annotated relating the notice of timber harvesting operations so as to require the State Forestry Commission to create a standing timber notification website. This bill had been referred to the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative, we've got a busy day here. I need to know, does this bill have anything to do with palmetto berries? Are you sure? Well, you haven't put any secret words in there, have you? Okay. Chair recognizes Representative Burchett to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and esteemed colleagues, for allowing me to bring to you House Bill 897. What this bill does is it creates an easy-to-use website for timber harvesters to notice their counties when they are harvesting within the county. Currently, under our present law, timber harvesters are required to go through a notice process in each individual county, and this would streamline that process for them. It does a couple other things. It also limits the bond usage. Currently, timber harvesters are required to have a bond in place for any road repair necessary due to any damage they create within the county while harvesting timber. The problem that we've seen has been that if they're harvesting on, say, County Road 1, their bond may be implicated over on a road they're not even on. So we just limited the use of that bond within 500-foot ingress or egress of the harvested tract. Also, this piece of legislation has been a bipartisan effort between ACCG and Georgia Forestry Association. Both of them have come to the table and have agreed on the language here, which is uncommon, as I'm told. I take any questions if anybody has any questions about the bill.
You have no, well, you do have a question. Do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative McLaurin to your right for a question.
Will the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Representative, is it not true that even though Metro Atlanta districts don't have quite as many forests as some rural districts, Metro Atlanta legislators care about both the quality of our forests and also local control?
I believe that's true.
And is it not further true, Representative, that I support this bill because it is a compromise effort in order to maintain the quality of our forests and ensure that bad actors in the forestry industry are not able to harvest timber without being able to notify their counties properly.
I believe that is true.
Thank you for bringing the bill.
Thank you. I yield the well.
You have no further questions. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 897 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? What's all the... Have all members now voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 897. The ayes are 166. The nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. The clerk will read the caption to House Bill 969.
House Bill 969 by Representative Abstration of the 104th to be entitled an act to amend Article 4, Chapter 3, Title 8, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to fair housing, so as to change provisions pertaining to unlawful practices in selling or renting dwellings. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Abstration to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I present to you HB 969. This is a department bill that was brought to us from the Georgia Commission on Equal Opportunity. Georgia has been out of compliance with the Georgia Fair Housing Act since 2012, and under Secretary Carson and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, a review was done of Georgia law last year, and this bill is a result of that review. It would allow us to be in certification with HUD, which is, by the way, required by Georgia law. So on the books, it's required for the administrator to have us in compliance. So that's all we're doing here. I'm not aware of any opposition to this bill in the hallway. I haven't heard of any opponents. It passed out of full Judiciary Committee unanimously and unchanged, which is a rare thing when you get a bunch of lawyers in the room. So would ask for your favorable consideration. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions.
I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 969 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 969. The ayes are 168, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. going to do this. All right, House will be in order. House will come to order. All members in the chamber will please take their seats. We're about to honor and recognize a distinguished group that will bring us news and greetings of a great Georgia tradition. The clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 1345.
House Resolution 1345 by Representative Stevens, the 164th, Gillier, the 162nd, Hitchens, the 161st, and Petrie, the 166th. A resolution recognizing and commending the members of the Savannah St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee, General Chairman Lawrence E. Edgerly, and Grand Marshal of the 2020 St. Patrick's Day Parade, Michael Roush, Sr., on the upcoming occasion of the 2020 St. Patrick's Day Parade in Savannah, Georgia, and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Chairman Ron Stevens for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, March 17th is always a big, big day in Savannah, Georgia. We have in Savannah, or will have, the largest St. Patrick's Day parade in the world per capita, right in our own state. I want to introduce you to the Grand Marshal today, Michael Roush, and he's going to say a few words. Would you give a grand welcome to the St. Patrick's Day Committee?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir. Thank you all so much for having us here today. It's my honor and my distinct pleasure that everyone has chosen me to be the Grand Marshal for the 2020 parade. It's our 196th parade in Savannah, Georgia. And we're not the biggest parade in the United States, but we're absolutely the best. And the reason for that is because we put it on the best. And I certainly do appreciate everything. We'd like for you all to come down March 17 on Tuesday. Thank you all so much. Thanks for having us. Have a good day. Thank you, sir. My pleasure. Thank you. Michael, let's get a picture. Thanks, okay.
If you have never been to St. Patrick's Day in Savannah, it's a real treat. I just secured a commitment from Chairman Stevens that next year, when we honor this group, he's going to sing Danny Boy during the resolution. What purpose does Chairman Harrell rise?
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
I move that Senate Bill 302 be moved from the Committee on Appropriations to the Committee on Ways and Means. Both chairmen are wonderful, agreeable.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about that, but the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee has moved that Senate Bill 302 be moved from the Appropriations Committee to the Ways and Means Committee. The clerk will read the caption.
Senate Bill 302 by Senator Albers, the 56th, and others to be entitled an Act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 5 of Title 28 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to fiscal bills generally.
On the gentleman's motion that Senate Bill 302 be moved from the Appropriations Committee to the Ways and Means Committee. Is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. What purpose does Representative Ridley rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules be temporarily suspended so that the bill can be read for the first time and signed to the committee.
Representative Ridley has moved that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended to allow a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to committee. The clerk will read the caption.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Ridley the Sixth to be titled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 2, Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to registration and licensing of motor vehicles generally.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended to allow a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Motor vehicles. What purpose does Representative Momtahan rise?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a motion
State your motion.
to suspend the rules so that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Representative Momtahan has moved that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended to allow a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to committee. The clerk will read the caption.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Momtahan of the 17th and others to be entitled an act to amend Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to insurance.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended to allow a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Special Committee on Access to the Civil Justice System. Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolution.
Memorializing the 4 known victims of lynching in DeKalb County, Georgia, and honoring the work of the Remembrance Project Initiative, the NAACP DeKalb branch. Congratulating and commending the Georgia Association of Realtors, recognizing May 14, 2020 as Apraxia Awareness Day. Congratulating and commending Rosla Garrett Plant for receiving the 2020 Yellow Rose Nikki T. Randall Servant Leader Award, recognizing March 5, 2020 as Patient-Centered Physicians Coalition of Georgia Day at the State Capitol, commending and congratulating Adelina Sturgios Maddox, recognizing and commending Chama Ibring of Noor Family Service Corporation for providing various services and support victims of domestic violence in the greater Atlanta region, commending Mr. Keith Carter for being named the Principal of the Year by the Georgia Association of Secondary School Principals, and recognizing his many years of service in the Oconee County education system, honoring the life and memory of Rick Davis. Congratulating and commending Kendall Chamberlain for receiving the 2020 Yellow Rose Nikki T. Randall Servant Leader Award. congratulating and commending the Stuart Webster Journal Patriot Citizen on the 170th anniversary of its founding. Recognizing and commending Mayor Lamar Lee of Walnut Grove, Georgia on his outstanding public service. Commending and congratulating Brianna Groves. Congratulating and commending Donetta D.E. Smith for receiving the 2020 Yellow Rose Nikki T. Randall Service Leader Award. Recognizing and commending the University of North Georgia and its president, Dr. Benita Jacobs. Recognizing the Greater Atlanta Chapter 9th and 10th Horse Cavalry Association for their efforts to preserve and promote the history of Buffalo soldiers and for other purposes. That completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privilege resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. We have a birthday today. Please join me in wishing a happy birthday to Representative Debbie Buckner. If you have signed up for an announcement, then please make your way to the front of the chamber. We're going to start doing announcements. All right, we're going on now to announcements. The chair recognizes Chairman Gerald Green for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The State Properties Committee will meet today at 2 p.m. in room 403. We have three bills to consider, so the State Properties will meet today at 2 p.m. in room 403. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Corbett for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Environmental Quality Subcommittee of Natural Resources will meet in room 515 CLOB at 3 o'clock. And also the Rural Caucus will have lunch at the Department of Ag building upon adjournment. Thank you.
The chair, I'm sure you'll want to come to order for the next announcement. The chair recognizes Chairman Hogan for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The awesome Committee of Information and Audits will meet at 1 o'clock in room 406 CLOB.
Chair recognizes Chairman Beverly for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Georgia House Democratic Caucus will meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. in room 403. 9 a.m. room 403. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the Chairman of the House Rules Committee, Chairman Smith, for an announcement.
Okay, everyone listen up. Rules Committee will not meet tomorrow. Rules Committee will not meet tomorrow. Our next meeting will be 1 o'clock Monday. 1 o'clock Monday. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Bennett for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Georgia Legislative Black Caucus will meet today at 3 p.m. in room 605. We will be receiving the Consul General from Liberia. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the Chairman of the Regulated Industries Committee, Chairman Powell, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the members of Regulated Industries, could they meet immediately upon adjournment in LOB 606? We have a technical change that we need to repair to a bill that came out. And also at 2 o'clock, the Regulated Industries Subcommittee on Occupational and Professional Licensing will meet in 406 at 2 o'clock. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members.
Chair recognizes Chairman Hitchens for an announcement.
The Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee will meet tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, 406 CLOB.
Chair recognizes Representative Vance Smith for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The full Committee of Natural Resources and Environment will meet tomorrow morning, March 5th, 8 a.m., room 606 CLOB. Agenda subject to change per call of the chair. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Henson for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The DeKalb delegation will meet upon adjournment today in room 415, and lunch will be provided.
Chair recognizes Chairman Blackman for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Both subcommittees of governmental affairs will meet today, this afternoon, in room 403 at 3 and 4 o'clock respectively, and a delayed start to tomorrow morning's meeting over in CLOB 506 at 8:30. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, Chairman England, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a reminder to everyone, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., room 341 here in the CAP, we will have an Appropriations Committee meeting to hear 4 compensation resolutions. So hopefully it won't take very long. Please be there. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Knight for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to make sure that the Higher Ed Appropriations Committee, you know that we are meeting at 3 o'clock, room 341, 3 o'clock, room 341. Please be there if all possible. Our attendance on that committee has been lacking. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Newton for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Committee on Access to Quality Health Care will meet tomorrow morning at 8:30 in CLOB 415. So tomorrow morning, Thursday morning at 8:30 in room 415. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Werkheiser for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Industry and Labor Committee will meet today at 3 o'clock in the CLOB at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Brian Prince for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Transportation Subcommittee on Resolutions, Road Naming, and Bridges will meet tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock in the CLOB 415. 8 o'clock, room 415. Thank you.
That completes our announcements. That completes announcements. The chair recognizes the distinguished majority leader of the House for a motion.
I was looking for him, Mr. Speaker. Thanks, Al. Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. March 5th, 2020.
The majority leader has moved that this House be adjourned until Thursday, March 5th at 10 o'clock a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. This House will be adjourned until Thursday, March 5th at 10 a.m.